unto him. Panchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, thank you all for coming. I suggest, however, looks like we have like a Hungarian ghetto in the back or something. So, I suggest that everybody move forward, okay?
I just would like to translate.
What's that? Oh, yeah, really? They don't understand English?
Yeah, but not everything.
Oh, okay,
I also
okay,
not
okay.
everything, but
That's okay, stay with the ghetto one. But everybody else can move up. And if you have a mobile phone, please turn it off now.
And children outside?
Huh?
Any children outside?
Children, yeah, children outside, yeah.
Turn them off. Turn them off.
Yeah, turn them off, yeah. Okay, we're reading, whoops, oh yeah, this is English. We're reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, text number, chapter 6, entitled Jnana Yoga, text number 32. Okay, everybody else understands English? Ladies? Yes, okay, good. Atma upamyena sarvatra saman pashati yorjana sukhan va yadivadukhan sayogi paramo mataha. He is a perfect yogi who by comparison to his own self sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. You have a Hungarian Bhagavad Gita?
no.
You don't have a Hungarian Bhagavad Gita?
In the car. But
Oh. Brilliant place for it. You have another English Gita here?
but he have in the phone.
Oh, okay, fine. You can follow along then. One who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. The cause of the distress of a living entity. Anybody here experience distress?
Yes.
Occasionally. Okay, here's the cause. Ready? The cause of the distress of a living entity is forgetfulness of his relationship with God. And the cause of happiness, anybody want to be happy?
Yay!
Yay! Okay, here's the cause of happiness. Is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all the activities of the human being, the proprietor of all lands and planets, and the sincerest friend of all living entities. That's the cause of happiness, okay? Not money. The perfect yogi knows that the living being who is conditioned by the modes of material nature is subjected to the threefold material miseries due to forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. And because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, he tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna everywhere. Okay, I'll read that again. And because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, he tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna everywhere. Since the perfect yogi tries to broadcast the importance of becoming Krishna conscious, he is the best philanthropist in the world, and he is the dearest servitor of the Lord. Natchatasman manusheshu kaschan me priyakritamaha. From Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 69. In other words, a devotee of the Lord always looks to the welfare of all living entities, and in this way he is factually the friend of everyone. He is the best yogi because he does not desire perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but tries for others also. He is the best yogi because he does not desire perfection in yoga for his own personal benefit, but tries for others also. He does not envy his fellow living entities. Here is a contrast between a pure devotee of the Lord and a yogi interested only in his personal elevation. The yogi who has withdrawn to a secluded place in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as a devotee who is trying his best to turn everyone toward Krishna consciousness. Verse again. Atma upamyena sarvatra saman pashyati yorjana sukhan varyariva dukhan sayogi paramo mataha. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. So this is a very simple concept, but one that tends to escape us. That we can understand what's going on with others by understanding what's going on with us. What I experience, pleasure and pain, that means others are also experiencing as pleasure and pain. And not just human beings. It's a really ridiculous idea that it's only human beings. And the animals don't suffer, for example, when you try to kill them. Like for instance, in America at least, they have these special restaurants they call steakhouses. They specialize in cow meat, right? And a lot of them, they have a sign with the name of the restaurant and a picture of the head of a smiling cow. You know, like the cow really enjoys being slaughtered. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You know, such people they have no heart. They're completely insensitive. They're like vampires or something. They're just completely cold-hearted. Actually, they can't be called human beings, really. According to scripture, they're called dvipada pashu. It means dvi means two, pada means feet or foot, pashu means animal. They're two-legged animals. They're walking around, they look like human beings, but actually they have the mentality of animals. Disgusting. Yeah, you can't really call them human beings. So, by understanding this first sentence of the purport is important. One who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own experience. What he's experiencing, that means others are experiencing it. They experience the same thing. It's just a different variety of the same thing. That's all. But everyone experiences the same thing. So, therefore, naturally, he should be naturally compassionate towards people who are suffering. And of course, part of the problem is people, a lot of times, they don't even know they're suffering. Because they're being anesthetized all the time. You know what anesthetized means? Okay. When you go into the hospital to get, you know, they have to cut you open to take something out, they put you under anesthetic.
Yes.
That's called anesthetized. It means you don't know what's going
It's
on,
like a sleeping.
right? Yeah, like sleeping. When you're under anesthetic, right? They can do anything to you. They can cut off your leg. You don't even know what's going on. You know, you wake up, your leg's gone. You know, sometimes in the hospitals, they sometimes get mixed up and they amputate the wrong leg. No, really, this happens. Or they, you know, take out the wrong kidney or something like that.
They leave something inside?
Or they leave something inside, like the scalpel or the knife. Amazing. There was a famous case in America many years ago. A surgeon who had a really big reputation. He was a famous surgeon, very highly respected. But then, over a period of a few years, people began to notice that a lot of his patients were dying. So they investigated a little further. It turned out he was killing them. Not necessarily on purpose, but he was just incompetent. Like, for instance, one time he had one patient who had to be on an oxygen machine. Now the thing is with the oxygen machine, at least this particular brand, was that there's a toggle switch, you know, and if you turn it one way, it pumps oxygen into your brain, and if you turn it the other way, it pumps oxygen out of your brain. So he accidentally, he'd been drinking too much, I don't know, but he accidentally pushed it the wrong way, and it sucked the oxygen out of this person's brain and put the person into a permanent coma. Anyway, there was a famous book about, 30 years ago, by a guy he'd been a medical doctor for 25 years, professional. And he wrote a book called Confessions of a Medical Heretic. You know what a heretic is? Heretic is someone who goes against the church. And it's a hilarious book, because he compares the hospital to a church, and the doctors are the high priests, you know. And it's so funny, but it's like scary too, because he tells you what really goes on. He said, if you get sick, the last place you want to go is a hospital. He was serious. He said there are so many germs. The place is full of germs. It's just full of disease. If you didn't have something before you went in the hospital, you'll definitely have something by the time you come out. You know, like doctors, they tell you you should get an annual checkup, right? Especially if you're older. You should get an annual checkup, make sure everything's working properly. He said one thing you should really avoid is the annual checkup. Very dangerous. Don't do it. So anyway, what was I saying? How did I get on this? What was I talking about? Got off on that tangent.
The body was compassionate, really compassionate.
Yeah, but
He's feeling the pain on himself, so
what?
he's feeling the pain on himself, so he
Yeah.
knows it's going on.
No, the people don't know they are.
Oh yeah.
Your
People
job.
don't know. Yeah. So the thing is that you see in material life, people are always anesthetizing themselves. They're putting themselves into a dull state. Like anything that you do for sense gratification makes it so you can't really feel. You understand? It makes your heart your heart hard, actually. Like, for instance, you name it, whatever it is. You know, drinking beer, or taking drugs, or watching television is another drug. You know, there was a book in America many years ago called The Plug-in Drug. It's just a drug. Right?
One-eyed guru.
The one-eyed guru. You know, it's like, we come into this room, you know, and the center of attention is the altar, Gornitai, right? But most people, the center of attention is the flat screen television, you know. It's like, this is, you know, welcome, come in, Guru Dave, you know. Everybody pays obeisances. One time I was, many years ago, this was 1979, I was in Baltimore, Maryland, and, I was giving the lecture at the Sunday program at the temple there, and it was a small temple room. It was probably about twice the size of this one, maybe. this room. And during the lecture, I couldn't believe it. You know, it was like, I mean, I've had distractions giving lectures, but this one was really one of the top ones, so it's emblazoned in my memory. There were two kids who were running up and down the temple room in between me and the audience while I was trying to give a lecture. And the parents didn't do anything, you know. I was starting to think of homicide, you know. But anyway, not really. Anyway, they're running up and down, making all kinds of noise, you know, and nobody said anything. You know, the parents said, "Oh, how cute." And then after the lecture, there was a feast. Okay. Then after the feast, we went into this other room, and there was a video, right? So, the same kids are noisy, right? And when the video comes on, the parents say, "Shh, video." You understand? Shh, video. A lecture about the Supreme Personality, not very important, you know, but video. So anyway, people's values are a little bit screwy. But that's what sense gratification means. It means it's an escape. All kinds of sense gratification is an escape. Whatever it is. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, you know, beer,
computer games.
television, what else?
Like a computer game or...
Computer games, soccer. It's all just an escape. So that you don't have to face the reality. What's the reality? The reality is that I'm an eternal soul, and I don't belong here. There was a book, famous book, Stranger in a Strange Land. That's what we all are. We're strangers in a strange land. We don't belong here. And our time here is very, 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 very limited. And this people don't want to face. You know, one time my father was very ill, and it looked like he was going to die. He was dying. And so I thought I should talk to my mother about it, you know. So I thought how to gently, you know, talk about it. So I tried to broach the topic, and I said, you know, because she seemed to be kind of like not aware that, I mean, in one sense she knew he was dying, but she didn't seem to want to really face that. And I thought, my God, you know, she's been with him for half a century. You know, what's going to happen? You know, how's she going to deal with this? And so I was just trying to help her. And I don't remember exactly how I started the topic, but I said something, you know, I mean, Mom, the fact is that he's going. You know, and then something like that. And she said, well, let's not talk about that. And she didn't want to face it. Right? Anyhow, turned out she handled it quite well when he died. Actually, the family had a party. Didn't seem to be, I guess for her it was a relief. I mean, understandable after 50 years with that guy. I mean, I would have had a party too, probably. But anyway, the thing is, but people in general, they don't like to face the fact that our stay in this world is very, very temporary, and we got to leave. We got to leave this body, and we don't know when. We actually have no idea when. You know, it's kind of like, it seems kind of cruel, you know, you don't know when. Because let's say, for instance, okay, now, you own this flat, so your situation is different. But a lot of people are renting an apartment, right? Renting a flat. Now, there probably here in this country, like other countries, there's certain laws that you have to, the landlord has to give 30 days notice or something like that, right? So, if you're going to be kicked out, you know you're going to be kicked out. You know when you're going to be kicked out. So this body's like an apartment, right? But we don't know. You know, there's no law like that. The landlord doesn't have to give notice. The landlord is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, and he, just all of a sudden, you know, you're up one day, you're out. That's it. In a matter of seconds.
Or you're in.
Huh? Or well, then you get in again. And you don't even have a chance to pack or anything. Go for it.
Last video game.
Huh?
Last video game.
What's that?
You don't have a chance to get the last video game.
Oh,
Yeah, your last video game, yeah.
Empty your bank account and...
Yeah, it's just all finished like that. So anyway, people don't like to face that. They don't want to face the reality that actually I'm an eternal soul, pure spirit soul, and this physical situation I'm in now is very temporary. And I am not the body. I am the soul inside this temporary body. People don't want to face that. So, or what to speak of, do anything about it. So therefore, they find all kinds of ways to escape. It's like putting yourself under anesthetic. And therefore, people don't have feelings. Which is really ironic because a lot of people talk about love and feelings, and, right? And caring for your neighbor and all that stuff. You know what? It's all a farce. It's all a hoax. Because because what they're talking about is feeling for the body. Or or psychologically, feeling for the temporary mind. But not the soul. They have no idea about the soul. They make it seem, and they're really self-righteous about it too. Well, you have to have feelings, you have to love your neighbor, right? Isn't it? You know, but actually they're hard-hearted. They're really hard-hearted because all they care about is the body. That's all, and the psychology. They don't have any understanding of the soul. It's like somebody having feelings, for your clothing. So what? You have to have feelings for your shirt and your coat. Right? Because another metaphor is that the body's like clothing for the soul. How can you have feelings for a coat and a shirt and trousers?
It's possible. I have some feelings for some saris.
Yeah, but you're in Maya. I used to be really attached to my blue jeans. I was so attached. I mean, I really concentrated on getting just the right pair of blue jeans, and once I got the right ones, I wasn't going to let them go. And of course they were better after they got faded, new blue jeans are really weird. One thing you didn't want to do is, go to the first day of school with new blue jeans. It was really embarrassing. I used to wear them for a few weeks before the first day of school just so that they wouldn't look new. But anyway, yeah, and then they get, they get better with age. With the, like when the knees wear out, especially when you're a boy, it's like the knees are always wearing out and the bottom is also wearing out. And I insisted that my mother patch them, And she said, look, I'll get you a new pair of jeans. I don't want a new pair of jeans, I want these. I was really attached. I remember I used to get so attached, not just to my blue jeans, certain shirts too. I was so attached to them, right? That's illusion. But that's the way people are. They're attached to their bodies. And what's really amazing is that the body is giving us so much trouble, and we're so attached to it. Why be attached to it? It gives you trouble. Not only that, it's got the potential to give you a lot more trouble. It'll get worse. Congratulations. Like people are always concerned about, that, I'm suffering so much, or I've suffered so much in this life. And you don't have to worry, because it'll get worse. So if you know it'll get worse, then whatever suffering you're experiencing now seems like, no big deal. No problem, right? So anyway, they just don't want to face the reality. That's the thing. People don't want to face the reality. The reality is that I'm a soul, and I don't belong here. And there's no way you can make this life comfortable. It's not possible. Forget it. It's like in America there's an expression, no matter how you slice a tomato, if you have a rotten tomato, no matter how you slice it, it's still rotten. Wherever you slice it, it's still rotten. The same way, with this world, with this body, no matter what you do, it's rotten. It's not going to work out. You can't make it right. It's not going to work. It's futile. Forget it. Obviously, we have to take care of the body while we have it, but just to the degree necessary. In the meantime, we should use our time and energy for nourishing the soul inside the body. Because otherwise, what people do is they spend all this time and energy taking care of the body, but what about the soul inside? The soul inside is languishing, is dying, is suffering, is frustrated, right? Material frustration, the frustration of the body and mind, these aren't really very important, but they're just, how do you say, they're manifestations of the frustration of the soul. Because when the soul inside the body is satisfied, then you don't care so much about the mind and the physical body. So that's the idea, is to, first of all, if we're going to be compassionate for someone, we have to understand who that person is. If you think that the person is just the clothing or the body, how can you help that person? You don't know really who the person is. Like when you look in the mirror in the morning, right? I mean, we look in the mirror and we think, there I am. That's me. No, it's not. Sorry, it's not you. It's a disguise. It's a disguise for you. It's like an actor on a stage. You're just acting. Acting as a man, acting as a woman, acting as a this, acting as a that. But you, the soul, is something else inside. You know, you're looking out through these eyes, looking at the mirror. But you just see the covering. That's all. You don't see the soul. The question is how to see the soul. Srila Prabhupada gives an example. He said it's like at night, everything's dark, presuming there's no moon and no electricity. Okay, so everything's dark and you can't see anything. But when the sun comes up in the morning, you see three things. You see the sun, you see your own body, and you see the bodies of others. Okay? So in the same way, when the Krishna sun rises in our heart, we become enlightened. Then we see God, we see Krishna, and we see ourselves, who we really are. And we see everyone else for who they really are too, as souls, not as bodies. So that's the idea of Krishna consciousness, is to get the Krishna sun rising in our heartbeat by chanting Hare Krishna. Now in this purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the cause of the distress of a living entity is the forgetfulness of his relationship with God. He thinks he's separated from God, or he doesn't think about it at all. In other words, he imagines himself to be completely independent of God's supervision or control.